welcome to another very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery. I would have said the word very an additional 40-something times, but I decided to save you all the ear bleeding because this is our 350th episode, and we brought on a very special guest. Some of you know this podcast as a focus on Elder Dragon Highlander, the format, and as Highlander things go, there are normally only one of that said thing, but we have two DJs on in this podcast, and I will leave Jason to wallow in the sorrowness of that transition. But we have another DJ. If I wanted
to be outnumbered by DJs, I'd go to an unemployment office during the day.
That was Jason All, everybody, and his trademark quick wit. You have me, the DJ of MTG Finance, Rose of Thorns on Twitter, and who is our very special guest, the other DJ?
My name is DJ. You might know me from the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel. You might have seen me on the Command Zone and game nights and stuff like that. And now I'm here to talk some MTG Finance.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that happened over the weekend, not nearly as many as the weekend before that with all the Eldraine announcements, but we still have quite a bit of relevant financial information, as well as your trademark Corbin-less podcast for week number 2 in a row.
You're welcome.
Yeah. If anybody wants to check out the spreadsheet that they can see exactly how many weeks Corbin has missed out on, we do keep a nice little running tally of those. And he doesn't listen to this episode either, so you can do that and then tweet at him without fear, just referencing some random word or just even some nonsense that David need to happen during the podcast. You can make stuff up. He'll believe it. It'll be fantastic.
Now, does he put in a pick of the week when he misses an episode?
He did not up until recently, but I have browbeat him into doing so consistently.
And so every time he misses, he chooses browbeat, right?
Yeah.
So in the end, it messes up his averages and you guys win, right?
Well, we're winning anyway. I don't... That might not come as a shock, but we're beating him.
No, I'm actually in third place.
That doesn't come as a shock either, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, well, what he's referring to is we have a spreadsheet where we put all our picks of the week and breaking bulk picks the night we record the podcast versus you waiting till Thursday or Friday to get the podcast episode. So if you're interested in getting a few days jump on the people who are going to wait for the podcast to come out, you can go to patreon.com/brainstormbrewery for as little as $2 or $2.50 an episode. You can have access to that spreadsheet, and if you can't make $2 getting our picks a week before everybody else, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And I mean, I just completely forgot what I was going to say. Wow.
Cool. Derailed by a Patreon pitch. That's the center square on the Brainstorm Brewery bingo card.
Oh, yes. I did remember. Okay, so I know we have teased and hinted at several big announcements that will be happening throughout this podcast, and we wanted to announce those this week, but Corbin is jet-lagged and flying back from Barcelona. So we did have to postpone that till next week, but next Friday or Thursday, if you are a patron, that will be the big announcement. We've got a lot of cool stuff to announce. We've got a lot of awesome Patreon revamping. We've got a lot of really cool things that we have been working on cumulatively over the past few months, and we just get to turn the bucket upside down and just dump all of those onto you at once, and it's going to be fantastic. So one more week, one more little 7 days worth of teasing and anticipation, but we will have that for you. And speaking of Jason's Patreon pitch, I have an email from said Patreon subscriber. We're going to do that before breaking bulk because I'm driving the train/bus today. And the email is titled Reserve List, so it's going to be a quick one. This is from Daniel Harad. Hey, Milk Boy, College Drop, and Jason, the person who helped me figure out how to divide $1 by 4 or 5. I am a poor ego only give, I think they meant ergo, so I am a poor ergo only gives you as little as 20 or 25 cents an episode. I have been considering buying some reserve list EDH and legacy staples. Should I wait and see if they go down a little bit, or should I get them now as they have not really spiked this year and might go later? Great work on the show. This is from Danny, sent from my iPhone because I'm not creative enough to think of a device. No, you are not.
No, you're not.
Reserve list cards, they don't move a lot, and if you're getting cards that are good in EDH, literally everyone else knows they're good in EDH, and so they're not going to like suddenly move after staying a single price for like years and years and years.
Yeah, their price is pretty much established. I think the spike in reserve list prices was people moving out of relatively volatile cryptocurrency around the time of GP Vegas last year and into relatively stable reserve list stuff. And some of that stuff starting to go down because like the hype is over. And
yeah, I've got some. Sorry, Jason.
No, I mean I was just going to trail off.
Yeah, so I've got a couple more extended thoughts on this. Specifically regarding reserve list cards, the EDH playable ones at least, like Replenish, like Treachery, like Academy Rector maybe, or Earthcraft, those kinds of things. I do think that you have an okay opportunity to buy, and you will see reserve list cards continue to jump just like normal Magic cards. For example, I sold a lot of Treacheries recently, because when you play it with Yarok, it's just a giant ritual. That's I was like, man, I've sold like 10 Treacheries this week. That's kind of weird. And then I asked, and then somebody explained that to me, and I was like, oh, that's good. So
yeah, I mean, if that Treachery's popped already, but like I haven't seen Great Whale or Peregrine or what's the other thing?
It is Peregrine,
Palinchron
or the
Peregrine Drake.
Yeah,
or
and
Cloud
so I mean.
Fairies.
The obvious ones will spike just like a normal Magic card. Like, if Treachery wasn't on the reserve list, it probably would have gone anyway. Just because it is the most intuitive card that ramps mana that is also just a good card on its own. But in addition to that, specifically regarding just cards, I'm not really sure if your question is regarding just buying massive amounts of them and hoping to hit it big, or just like, I need to get these reserve list cards for my own decks. And if it's the latter, I really want to recommend just hitting up the Star City Heavily Played sale when it goes live. You unfortunately just missed it by the time we read this email, but the Star City Heavily Played sale really puts aggressive prices on a lot of both non-English and English cards that are in that sort of price range, right? So like, Their $4 cards are really like $2 cards that are discounted to $3, so those aren't great. But a lot of and they're like super high end stuff is discounted to the point where it's like normal price, so you don't want to buy moats or like graded Mishra's Workshops or anything. Yeah. But there's like a sweet spot from $10 to like $25 where they just slash prices super hard and heavily played stuff, and their heavily played stuff will always be sleeve playable. So like, I went on there and I bought HP Oracle of Moldias, Vidalcan Orreries, and specifically there was a lot of reserve list stuff on there. Like, I bought them out of Replenish because they were selling it for sub $20.
Which is insane because it was going for like $75 a year ago.
Yeah, like Replenish is just like I will just buy those at that price and then resell them on my TCG Player store. But even if you're just somebody who's looking for like contaminations or just beat up reserve list cards, like I guess Earthcraft is another good example. Just like, if you don't care about having non-English versions of those and you just want to get those cards for your deck on a budget, the Star City sale, or generally just keeping your finger on the pulses of those retail stores having large sales, those can be very, very nice ways to get reserve list cards, like TCG Player kickbacks, or just sort of just keeping your finger on the pulse of that.
There are also eBay sales, but one other little bit of tech is if you go to a Grand Prix, Star City has a tendency to have what they call a played case. And if you get there first thing, go over there, because that's that same kind of crap they're trying to move during those heavily played sales. They just throw in their GP case, and it's like a feeding frenzy. Stuff between $10 and $50, I would say, is what I try to pick up there.
Slight correction is that Star City doesn't really do GPs anymore, so you're more likely to find their case at their own circuit.
Oh, like the open, yeah.
Yeah, but their HP case at shows is specifically filled with things that they deemed that they really cannot sell as HP on their site. So they don't have like a damaged condition category when they're selling on their online store. So you'll find like the crumpled up stuff, the really destroyed stuff, the Gonti-esque stuff, and that's where you want to find it at their display case.
But what's good for stuff like that is if you're buying the cards to play with, what I like to do is I like to buy really jack stuff and play it in my deck, and then the stuff that was in the deck I then sell, so I basically freed up a copy, so I made the difference, pure profit, and I still have a copy to play with.
So do you think that this patron is looking for these like $100, like the academy rectors, the replenishes, the guy's cradle? Do you think he's looking for corner case like reserved list cards, like the kind of person that subscribes at the 20 cents a podcast level type cards?
I mean, if they're looking for like the really cheap stuff like Great Whale and all that stuff, I don't really think that they would need to send an email to check to see if they should buy it or not. If it's just like the $5 or $6 like Peacekeeper-esque level cards,
so like weird stuff like Hall of Gemstones or Corpse Dance,
yeah,
Dream Halls, Hatred, stuff like that. That's in the like maybe $8 to $20 range or something like that. Do you see much variation in those?
I just want to applaud you for
risk, though. The fact that they printed Lotus Field kind of signals that they don't really have a problem with potentially printing a card called Malice that's just a functional reprint of Hatred. Only the spell's got hexproof or something.
Well, I also just want to applaud you on being able to list like 5 of those cards immediately off the top of your head, because I tried to do that like 5 minutes ago and I was like, and Great Whale, like.
I'm thinking I like the reserve list cards there, and especially because they're weird. And old cards, they had style to your commander decks. So like I know why this patron of yours is looking for some of these older cards. They have the patina on them, they have the feel, and they're nostalgic.
Hey, I agree. I have a Selenia deck. It is my second favorite commander deck behind Conti, and most of the time it is a wacky combo deck that kills you with near-death experience or pay in kind. But every once in a while, people let their guard down, and I just crack them with a Hatred.
Yep, that's a good way to reduce your life total, and I think if you're going to go for reserve list stuff, go for stuff that's playable. Don't pick up Sentinel Centaurs just because it's on the reserve list.
Yeah. You have to find like the treacheries and stuff that people want or will want eventually, or will have synergy with future commanders.
But there was stuff that was like $2 forever, like Retribution in the Meek, that people just forgot about. And then as soon as Retribution was a little bit relevant with like the Arcades decks, all of a sudden that really spiked. So there is some stuff that's still on the reserve list that like has potential with the synergy with the future printing. So I would pick stuff that looks a little bit more sneakily playable than just total crap. Like that, whatever 4/4 Echo Angel from Urza Saga there is.
It's weird though, because you bring up the Lotus Veil issue, that sometimes things that might be on the verge of playable, it feels like they could get reprinted out from under you. That's an interesting thing that I hadn't thought of.
Nobody really talked about how scary Lotus Field was for some of us, but like I'm not really heavily invested in reserve list crap, so I'm not super worried about it. And for like old school and stuff like that, where a lot of that stuff's still playable, like there's no substitute for it. So like you couldn't print a new Juzam and have people play it where they're playing Juzam. So that's
they did. They printed a red one. Like they literally did that. Like, and people were like, "Oh, okay, I don't care. This is."
Like you can't print any Dream Halls. Like there's no mana cost that makes Dream Halls fair, or Metal Worker or something like that. Like there are some things that are so weird or so out there. Almost like
Metal Worker just tap for 1, right? Like,
I mean, but then it's not a threat anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Lotus Field was a threat to Lotus Veil because it was pretty good. As soon as you make it like so different, then it becomes it's not a threat to the reserve list cards.
That's true.
So yeah, I would just keep the playable iconic stuff, and I don't know. That stuff kind of moves a little bit slower. So if you're going for an investment, you're better off going elsewhere, I think. But yeah, good question. Thanks for writing in.
Yeah, that was more relevant discussion than I expected. But I think we'll get some more relevant discussion out of Breaking Ball.
Well, we're not used to doing emails, because when Corbin's driving the bus, he spends the email time telling a long meandering story about how he was looking for a Taco Bell in Barcelona, and so we don't have the time to get to the emails.
Is the audience like feeling like they need like a long meandering story if I'm supposed to be like taking Corbin's place?
I thought you were DJ, and then other DJ was.
Oh, that's right.
Demoted
Sorry,
to
that's
Corbin.
on you, DJ. Yeah. You need to tell a weird, like a totally irrelevant story that doesn't really have a punchline at the end.
I mean, I was in St. Louis this weekend. That's completely irrelevant as a city.
Wow.
No, I was in a diner yesterday, and Hey There Delilah started playing.
I'm not opposed to
were
that
you
song.
3 years old when that song came out, TJ?
It was 2006, so I was 12.
Was it 06? Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes me feel real old. I was.
When
that song came out.
I had a couple questions, like who this hip young Obama guy is, and whether or not I should buy Black Lotus at $1,000. And
my favorite thing about that "Hey There, Delilah" song was they found the chick it was written about.
Yeah, it was about like a stripper.
No, it was just some girl from
I thought it was like
class,
a stripper.
and she's like, "That's the creepiest shit. Don't write songs about me. You can't just come say hi. You got to write a song." It's embarrassing enough to write a song about a girl, but to make everybody listen to it, that's too much.
The rumor I heard when I was in high school was that she was like actually a stripper. I don't know. That he just like fell in love with.
Oh.
I
heard
that
a
could
rumor
be,
in high school that if you...
I guess both of those could be true, but like...
I heard a rumor that if you mixed Pop Rocks and pop, your head would explode. So like maybe not all rumors are 100% accurate.
I mean, both of those she could be a stripper and also be creeped out by the song, right? Like, they're not mutually
if you're writing
exclusive.
a song that's so creepy, even a stripper's like, that's too much. Like, you need to take it down a notch. All right, Breaking Bulk.
Breaking
that
Bulk.
Is a segue.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
That is how we transition
Segue.
on this podcast.
I have a Commander 18, so Commander 2018, Black Rare.
I'm not going to
It
be
is just in Commander 2018. It was not a reprint.
Is it from the Windgrace deck?
I actually can't tell you what deck it's from.
Oh, boy.
I have no idea. It's not really deck specific.
I can picture a lot of different arts in my head, and I can't picture any card names.
What does it do?
Is it the Miracle one?
No, it is not the Entreat the Dead. This card retails for approximately $1. It started out the pre-sale season at $3, it has slowly creeped down, and nowadays when I buy bulk rares for 8 cents a piece, I put that out and then I throw it in a Card Kingdom cart. But it is, I actually can't tell you what deck it's from because it doesn't really...
Is it the thing where when it dies you kill creatures?
No, it is not the random evoke creature they shoved in there. It is a...
I like that evoke creature. It
is a 4-mana 2/2 though. And it's a vampire wizard. It's Blood Tracker.
Blood Tracker was in C18?
Yes. I cannot tell you what deck it's from because it doesn't really have a land-specific ability or a miracle-specific ability, but what I can tell you is that it is a 4-mana 2/2 flyer. You can pay a black and pay 2 life to put a counter on it, and then when it leaves the battlefield, to draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. That says leaves the battlefield, not dies, not is exiled, not anything else. It just can be like blinked or resto angeled or cyclonic rifted. And then you draw a lot of cards, and vampires have more than one way to put counters on their thirsty little brothers and sisters.
Wow,
so,
I really thought that was from the vampires deck, but it totally is not.
No, yeah, it is more recent than that. Because of that, it has just slowly crumbled in price due to the just the passage of time, and it's sitting at $1. So I mean, I was flipping a coin to decide if this is my pick of the week or my breaking bulk. I decided on the former. Or the latter.
You're doing Breaking Bulk wrong if it could be a pick of the week.
Yeah, it's a Corbin thing to do. Corbin's like, this is my Breaking Bulk and my pick of the week, and it's $5 already. Go.
Well, I have a card that you probably don't think is 30 cents, but like it's from an old set. It's from Visions, and it's a blue creature. We talked about this card before the cast, if that helps.
Oh. It's I'm the one that mentioned it before the cast.
Yeah. I was really hoping you would embarrass DJ. Who probably doesn't get to pick a lot of Visions bulk because Visions came out before DJ was born.
Was it? You keep saying before I was born, but I keep thinking you don't know the year I was born in.
You were 3 when Visions came out.
It's the Drake, but it's not Crackling Drake, it's Shrieking Drake.
Shrieking Drake. It comes into play, return a creature you control to its owner's hand, which can be Shrieking Drake itself. You can loop it with a Lurin, and then draw a bunch of cards with Kool-Aid. I think that that could be a relevant thing in the future, but this is already like a 30-cent card. So don't sell it for half a cent.
That makes sense to me.
60 times that. Pull these out of bulk.
Very nice.
Makes many sense to me.
Yeah, it goes really well in those types of decks, and it's got tons of combo potential across many, many different decks. I'm surprised it's so cheap anyways.
It is a common, but yeah, yeah. I mean, what do you think? There are more like mythics from Battle for Zendikar or commons from Visions? I bet it's pretty close.
Okay, I'm not very experienced when it comes to breaking bulk, but I have a card that I think people might want to pay attention to as the commander decks are released. And
Sure.
It's surprisingly cheap right now, and it might move a little bit. And so it's a rare from War of the Spark. Do you need a color? Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Red.
Rare from War.
So it's a red
based
War
on the
of the
commander decks.
Spark. Bulk rare.
The only one that comes to mind is the Mizium vehicle, but I don't think that's it.
Is it the museum?
It is not the Mizium vehicle. You find people are
Franco?
probably already pulling it out of bulk, even though it's only
Neheb?
sitting at it's Neheb.
Is it Krenko?
It's Neheb.
Oh, Neheb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can pick up Nehebs right now for under a quarter on TCG Player. And for the most part, you can get them for like 35 cents or something like that. And when this could be a good transition to some of the Commander 19 decks that we might want to talk about, but there are two strategies, Flashback and Madness, that both really rely on discard outlets, and free discard outlets are going to be an important thing in a lot of these decks. And Neheb is a very free discard outlet. In fact, it generates mana.
Free implies a zero money transaction. This is like free plus mana. Like you gain mana by.
You have to hit him.
It's true.
That's fine. He's trample.
It's true. But then you think of and so there's a lot of hoops in a lot of different other scenarios, you're right. But when you think about this card being 35 cents for a 5/4 trample for 4, with the ability to discard cards and draw it and produce mana, like it just feels underpriced at this point in time. And I think that you might want to just pay attention to them. And if the commander decks in 2019 don't have enough discard outlets, or maybe the Madness deck turns out to be a little bit more aggressive, like it has been for Madness decks in the past, Neheb might slot right in there, and you might get a little bit more. You might break that bulk.
Boy, that all this talk of printing a new Juzam Dijin made me remember that I paid $20 for one copy of Balduvian Horde back in 1998.
If you had $1 for every time you've brought that up on this podcast, you'd be able to buy another one 20 years ago.
I should have. I bought a My High Dijin, though, because that was all the money I had left. And I don't like flipping coins anymore. So, yeah, Neheb, much, much better than Balduvian Horde.
I agree. So one of the more jarring announcements, I guess is the best way to put it, from this weekend is the announcement of the reworking of the judge program. This was sort of leaked on Saturday night, Sunday morning. I believe it was leaked maybe even earlier than that to a few specific parties. But the announcement came out in full force today from the judge community, and that is that they are basically... I don't know if outsourcing is the correct word, but they are filing a new company called the Judge Academy that will be taking over all of the sort of logistics and training and processing and sending and delegating of judging for Magic the Gathering events across the world. And reception is mixed, partially because judges now have to pay dues to be a part of the program, akin to like being a soccer referee or akin to being part of some other contract-esque employment system where you pay dues and then you are given product as a result of those dues.
Like a sharecropper. That's another situation that's sort of similar. Being a feudal serf.
That's a bit extreme, Jason. I mean, the system as it was explained has several levels depending on the level of judge you are. So they're bringing back the rules advisor position, where if you are just sort of a local player and you've been a player for a while and you have a lot of experience in the rules and interactions between Magic cards, you can apply to be a rules advisor. They said that is either free or $50, so I assume you can just sort of stay at that free level and receive nothing, or you can pay a small amount of dues and get something. And then the fee is $100 a year for L1s, $200 a year for L2s, and $400 a year for L3s, and then you are given an according amount of judge promos per wave, depending on your level. So level 1s will get 1 wave of foils per year, and so on and so forth. And I mean, if you look at the math, logistically speaking, it's very rarely been a bad idea to buy an entire packet of judge foils for $100. So theoretically, judges are coming out more well off, because under the previous system,
though, they have to do work for still, right?
Well, yeah, they gotta work. They gotta work one event to break even.
Well, you'll still get paid. If you're working these GPs or SCG opens, you're still getting paid a very reasonable wage for your efforts, per day or per event or whatever contract you have with your employer. But so these foils are on top of that. It's not like you're working events for free for the whole year and then you're getting these. I mean, I would assume most rules advisors or L1s are running FMs for free, just because that's how it has been already. Your average local game store cannot afford to just pay an extra minimum wage employee for several hours a week. So I believe that is the system they're working on and trying to improve. And the reception from most of the judges I have talked to and seen discussing this is that it is positive, and that it sort of centralizes the judge community, gives it a lot more structure than what it previously had, which was next to nothing. And I've seen a lot of positive reactions to this from judges and negative reactions to this from people who are not judges.
Or people have been reacting negatively to this before Monday when the announcement was made, when they didn't know anything.
Yeah,
that was when most of the bitching took place.
Yeah, they were under the impression that judges were just paying to work for WotC, and then WotC was getting additional money, and then judges were getting nothing in return. But I believe that was clarified as of the official judge announcement. And I mean, there is financial relevant information to this as well, because judge foils are cards that people like to play in EDH. They are the premium foil of choice for a lot of players who want to make their decks look nicer. They're affordable. I mean, if you are a judge, they are one of the more affordable ways to make your deck look nice, because they're free, but or were free, but yeah.
They have different collectors want them too, because a lot of times they have different art. And so I know that I see a bunch of judge promos and I'm like, okay, I might even own that card already, but I love collecting Magic cards, so I feel like I need to go out there and acquire them as well. So there's definitely value to these cards. Is this new structure, are there more judge promos or less judge promos entering the market?
Oh, they're going to be way more.
There will
be was before
yeah.
it was exemplar, right? You had to be
yes.
nominated, and it was oh, you're getting a free $100 just because you would get $100 on the basis of only a certain number of judges getting these packets. Now, if everybody is getting these,
yeah.
it's not only going to devalue these individual cards a lot more, but it's going to make the packet price itself much lower than $100. So you're not going to be able to break even after one event.
Well, maybe. I mean, we have yet to see what how many people will stop judging, how many more people will start judging. The number, we don't have the numbers there to make all these decisions yet, but I mean,
we know what the next judge foils are.
Yeah, I was going to go into that, and that the next wave of foils they announced are very good cards. We had a couple of subpar ones recently where it's Prismatic Geoscope, Geoscope and Merchant Scroll. Woo! Who asked for the? But the next ones are Chalice of the Void,
Chalice of the Void,
Yuriko,
Monastery Mentor, Reflecting Pool, and Yuriko.
And these are all confirmed to have new art. So, like, if there's anything I know, it's that, like, Japanese players will pay 8 million yen for a foil alt art Yuriko. Like, that's just a thing.
Yep. Monastery Mentor, gonna look real sharp in your vintage deck or wherever you're playing it.
And I mean, if the Chalice of the Void art is the art that Seb McKinnon used for his Magic Online promo, people will go crazy over that one. That is just like one of his most iconic pieces that has yet to be on a Magic card in paper. And so when that Reddit thread came out, people were like, we want Chalice of the Void, Seb McKinnon, playmat, yes, give us all the... So, I mean, that's a 4 of in Modern and Legacy. Like, that's just a very powerful card. And so, we could see these judge promos.
They're 4 ofs. With the exception of Yuriko, these are 4 ofs versus, like, Merchant Scroll being a 1 of.
So I have a question. Yeah. Is this going to be a similar scenario? So when Expeditions came out and our masterpieces came out and they were all Expeditions and it was a huge hit and everyone was so excited about it because they were all, super duper playable lands. And then as we move on to different masterpieces and they stretch a little bit, then it kind of loses a lot of its luster and the value kind of goes down. Is that something that judges might have to worry about coming up, where you have, Chalice in here, just this big time card that's going to carry the weight of their subscription. And then, there's down the street, there's another Mystic Scroll next year or something like that, devalues their packets.
I mean, they're not doing 20 cards a block though.
Yeah.
They're doing 4 cards a fiscal quarter.
Or year, or like it might, like 4 cards consistently every quarter or 6 months is significantly different than trying to find 50 extra non-basics beyond shocklands and fetchlands.
This little grouping sounds particularly good right now, though. It just sounds really, really it sounds really desirable. I would like to have this exemplar or whatever this judge packet right now is.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just on the subject of judge foils, before I forget, if you are in the market for judge foils that exist currently, and you are not in our Brainstorm Brewery Discord server, I would highly recommend checking that out and sort of trying to make connections with other Magic players who are across the pond, assuming you are an American listening to this, because judge foils tend to be traditionally cheaper on Magic Card Market, which is the European version of TCG Player. So if you're like, man, I really want a Ristic study, but I don't want to pay whatever TCG Player is, if you just go and check MKM, it's probably a significant amount of dollars cheaper, and then you can just sort of make a contact with a European Magic player who might be willing to trade for that Ristic study at their price if you are willing to send them an equivalent value of modern staples from your neck of the woods, and modern staples like Collective Brutality and Fiery Confluence and certain other cards, Fiery Confluence is Legacy, but those cards are more expensive in Europe. So, I mean, you can have that little bit of arbitrage, and maybe not in the level of some stores or players, but just on that minuscule level of getting your Ristic study for $40 instead of $60.
And that's a connection you can make for 20 or 25 cents an episode. I think the $1 to become a $1 patron and have access to the Discord is probably the best $1 you'll spend in MTG Finance.
So you feel like that's pretty easy to do, to just hey, in Discord, I want, who lives in Europe, and then there's just a community that's willing to trade and sell and stuff like that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. That's going on right now and you're missing out.
I mean, yeah, it is very, very low effort to attempt, and it is very high reward to hit.
It's $12 a year.
It's
you would pay more than that for a subscription.
I mean, and if you are, I do want to caveat, I guess, and say even if you are unable to or unwilling to subscribe to an additional Patreon, you can try this in other Magic Facebook groups or other Discords that you may be a part of that involve Magic players. Like if you're part of a Tron Discord group and you have a bunch of Tron players from all over the world, you can still make those connections regardless of the Discord group you are in, because social media is a thing and you can just sort of make those happen. But I mean, we have several known EU traders and NA traders in our BSB Discord right now. And what was the other question you were gonna ask, DJ, that you said, and then I started going on a talk, and then you said, and then I said that we should save this for the cast, because I don't remember what that question was, or was that question?
It was particularly about like how to set up those relationships, and
okay, yeah,
like, and I mean, you kind of explained it about the ability to like just kind of trade across, and that seems like a lot of sense. It feels like it'd be a little bit more difficult if you had to like, oh, I'm just going to PayPal you, and then there's like bank fees for changing currencies, and then there's shipping sort of issues and stuff like that. It feels like there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and I mean, you mentioned a pretty good price point, like $40 versus $60, but like sometimes, a 10% difference or like a $5 difference won't be enough. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. And in my experience, the price differences on Judge Foils tend to be drastic enough to make it worth your while. I think the only one I looked at recently where there was not a very significant price difference is Teferi's Protection, where it's like an 80 versus 90 kind of thing. But I will also provide the advice that, in my experience, the most effective way to send money overseas is an app called TransferWise. You download it. It's very simple. It's very secure. It's very safe. It's very well known outside of the Magic community and just in the general finance community. You just download TransferWise, connect it to your bank, and you will send money at a reasonable exchange rate, and they take a very, very minuscule amount of fees, like 0.00 something in fees. And then you get the best exchange rate possible that is not like a PayPal conversion rate or a like bank transfer conversion rate. Yes. So you will not get ripped off by any sort of other market company. So TransferWise is the name of that app. If you are looking to get into this,
that's really good advice, because there's a lot of Magic players
sponsored by them, but
that might want to just do something with people overseas. Maybe not just cards, but like I've often had people overseas alter cards for me, or do commissions and stuff like that. And just navigating that is a little bit easier knowing about that. So thank you.
Yep, the app is called TransferWise. It is free to download, and the transaction fees are minuscule compared to what other sort of more well-known services will cost you. I mean, is that... that's fine. The next segment, according to our show notes that I have masterfully created, is the pick of the week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. You guys
we have a song though. Like, you don't have to be doing this right
No,
now.
I know, but like I'm giving JJ some sound bites just in case he wants to like remix or layer or
We don't pay him enough.
I'm sure that's what he really wants to do.
Yeah.
I was on top of my full-time job and the fact that it takes hours every week to edit the podcast and put it up on YouTube and put together your after hours, I was feeling a little froggy and decided to remix the song for no reason. Now, if you're a listener, though, and you wanted to remix our song, if it's good, we'll use it. We'll absolutely use all kind of stuff you send us.
There we go. So instead of me sending a soundbite to one editor, I'm sending a soundbite to over 10,000 listeners who, some of which may have the ability to do some sound editing and sound text. So that was a much better idea than I even initially thought of.
Yep. So, even if it's especially if it's embarrassing for us, editing something together and you send it to us, we'll play it on the cast. But like, we know that you won't. So, like, that's a perk. That's like $5 or $10 patrons can like send us an audio clip and we'll play it on the cast. And literally, no one has done it in 150 episodes. So, but hey, if you like putting together songs and stuff like that, yeah, man, send us a thing. So now that that's out of the way, let's do our picks of the week. I suppose I'll go first since I'm currently talking. I have the conch.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for stalling so that I was able to find a pick of the week. That was
I heard you
helpful.
typing. The professional podcaster, Douglas Johnson, everybody. Oh, was that tonight? Oh.
What? That's not an accurate quote.
I need a pick of the week for tonight. Oh.
Hey, I'm the Corbin.
Yeah, halfway
true.
through the episode,
That's
you
true.
started looking like
That's still more professional than Corbin.
It makes sense.
You waited 15 minutes between 9:30 and 9:45 for me to get on Skype, and during that 15 minutes,
That's
you
not
played
true.
Slay the Spire.
I mean, that part's true, but I didn't wait for you to get on. I just assumed that you would start the call.
All right, I was actually not even logged on to Skype. I was
Yeah, and then I called you, and then nobody answered, and then you had to log into Skype. So
I was wrist deep in a dirty diaper. So good news, everybody. My wife's bowel movements are back to normal. I don't know. Does anybody remember she gave birth 2 months ago, or is it weird that I'm bringing up her wearing a diaper and expecting you guys all to get the joke? It's fine. My son pooped on me, you guys. He's one of the. Everyone's like, "Hey, if you have a son, open the diaper and then close it real quick, because when you open the diaper, they pee." And that's not what happens. When I open my son's diaper, he poops. He's like, "Hey, I pooped in this diaper. Could you change it?" I'm like, "Oh, all right, bud." And I open it up, and he's like, "Just kidding." It's like 2 girls, 1 diaper. It's the worst. So that's my life, and that's what I was doing when you tried to call me. So, yep. Any parents out there? Some of you are like, "That's weird," but some of you are like, "Yeah, my kid did that for like 8 months." So I don't know why I used a Vietnam vet voice for that. And like, I saw some shit.
that is the parent, like, what you feel like, right? I mean,
It's not that bad. Baby poop is fine, man. Like, I've definitely seen worse.
well, now I gotta know what's worse.
Phlegm, for whatever reason, like snot. Yeah, I don't know why.
No, phlegm is fine. Just baby poop gets grosser as they eat more and more real food.
I guess I don't know. My daughter takes really dense small dumps like Nibbler from Futurama, so like she's good. I don't have to worry about her poops anymore. Don't even have to wipe her. She's just good to go. Yeah, pick of the week. My pick of the week is cucumber melon scented wipes. They when you're wiping a baby's feces out from under your fingernails, accept no substitutes. All right. Much like my Breaking Bulk, which was predicated on a card called Kool-Aid from Brawl, I suppose, from like the Brawl set. It's going to be a Brawl card. And I think people are already building this deck. There's a whopping 1 total deck on EDH Rec. But I've found lists online. People are using Kool-Aid as like a value engine. So when you play a creature, you draw a card and put a land card from your hand into play, which is really nuts. And here's a card that really goes well with that. It's Nissa Vastwood Seer, the flip planeswalker from Magic Origins. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a basic forest and put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. And then when a land enters your battlefield under your control, if you have 7 or more lands, you flip Nissa. And then the back is, 3 planeswalker abilities, including a -7 that says untap up to 6 lands, they become 6/6 elementals. That's a lot of damage, even for EDH. I kind of think something that like both triggers Kool-Aid and puts a land in your hand for you to put right into play off that trigger is pretty good. And I think this is probably going to go up. It's below $10 right now on TCG Player. This is a Magic Origins Mythic, so I like these under 10.
I think Nissa's great in not just Chilean decks, but like tons of different decks. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that the Kool-Aid trigger is a cast trigger, so that's going to resolve before Nissa's ETB trigger happens.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, you can't put the land in off of Nissa, but like,
see, like you, because
you'll have the land
want
for the next
lands in
creature.
your hands. Like you're just gonna want lots of lands, and so like in EDH, like we've been hyping like getting lands onto the battlefield, but Kool-Aid just opens up an entirely new group of creatures that put lands into your hand efficiently, that become really really good. And Nissa is one of them. I think that it's a really solid inclusion in a lot of different decks.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's built as its own commander, but also like a lot of decks like Reki, History of Kamigawa, Azusa, Multani,
Both new
Omnath, Locust
Sisseis,
Raid.
like
Yeah, both new Sisseis.
and the new Abzan one that cares about legendaries too.
Kethis, the
Kethis,
Hidden
yeah.
Hand. Yeah.
Man,
Even
I-
Yarok, you know what I mean? Like there's
That's two lands off Yarok. That's pretty good.
One of my hidden picks of the week that I just sort of hoarded as a bulk rare for several years because I used to have a Child of Alara deck that was very land-based before all the other cool kids had one with their Windgrace deck, but one of my favorite little pocket picks of that deck was Nantuko Cultivator, and you do not know how hard I got Dream Crush when that was an uncommon in Modern Horizons. Because, I mean, that card is very good. It's a 4-mana 2/2 that draws you a billion cards and procs a bunch of dredge triggers on Life from Loam and whatnot. And every time I played it, people were like, what's that do? Wow, that's a 7/7 that drew you 5 cards. That's neat. And so Nantuko Cultivator got a reprint, and I got big sad. But one of the cards that's not going to get a reprint in Modern Horizons is a blue mythic 10-mana enchantment called Omniscience. Omniscience has been $30 twice over the past 4 or 5 years. And it's $8 right now, and was reprinted in M19, and it's slowly starting to trickle upwards because it's Omniscience.
It just does broken stuff, and it's amazing in Commander 2. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, this is a card that players have called to be banned along the lines of like Iona and Cyclonic Rift and Paradox Engine. It's not going to get banned because it's a freaking 10-mana enchantment that doesn't do anything if you don't have cards in your hand, but it is certainly powerful, and it's gonna go back up to 15 eventually, if assuming it doesn't get like smacked with another reprint immediately, in which case why would it? Like it's gonna keep going. So I mean, if you need an Omniscience, if you're just on the hunt for cheap copies or just looking to throw store credit at stuff and just squirrel it away in a box for 7 or 8 months, this is a card. You're gonna look at this in 7 or 8 months and be like, wow, when did that hit 14 again? Just like Crucible and Scapeshift jumped recently. So, Omniscience.
All right. Well, I'm torn between 2 cards.
Well, just say them both then.
Pick them both.
All right, we'll pick them both. First thing is a pretty solid EDH card. It's actually a specific card. It's Gideon's signature spellbook, and it's True Conviction. True Conviction in Gideon's spellbook is 75 cents, and printed in Commander 2014 and Scars of Mirrodin, those prices are sticking at $3.50. That's a huge difference in when comparing cards. Even the foil version of True Conviction is under $2. And still, non-foils from Commander 2014, $3.50. Scars of Mirrodin, $3.40. And this is just a big smashing card that Commander players really love to play. Yep. It's 6 mana. Creatures you control have double strike and lifelink. It goes in a lot of different decks really, really well, and it's just kind of fun. It's one of those fun Commander cards, and I don't know why there's such a disparity between the 2 prices.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the 35th most played white card.
Yeah, it's super popular.
It's between Eerie Interlude and Stoneforge Mystic, if that tells you anything. Above Darksteel Mutation, so this is a popular card in EDH.
Yeah,
Darksteel Mutation's that low.
It's a little
37th.
It's grown up in price, Darksteel Mutation, and so a lot of budget people just stop including it in their deck. Like you kind of need to go out of your way to include it now.
It's like $3.50.
Yeah,
I love that card.
And
but like, yeah,
it should be 25 cents or 50 cents, and then it slowly crept up, and now
But it's so good at just like, since they changed the tuck rule, stuff like Hinder got worse, but Darksteel Mutation got much better because you don't want to send their commander to a different zone. You want to strand it on the battlefield. Indestructible.
Every time I play that card and then somebody tries to wrath themselves, I'm like, okay.
No.
Got him.
All right. You want to hear my second pick of the week because I'm an overachiever?
Yeah, man, absolutely. That was a good first pick, though. Like, you're already doing better than Corbin, who hasn't added anything to the spreadsheet that our $10 and up patrons have access to.
He did.
Okay, well, the next one's
Don't correct me.
The next one's a little bit like it feels like 75 cents. Like comparing to the other prices, seems like kind of a slam dunk. This one might be a little bit more out there because it's a $13 card. It's Bramble Sovereign out of Battle Bond. Bramble Sovereign is 2 green for a 4/4 Dryad. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. We're about to have a populate commander deck in about a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
and also like Bramble Sovereign was printed about a year ago. I don't think that their development of this populate deck would have included a card that was literally like just printed in Battle Bond.
Exactly.
So I don't think that there's going to be like I don't think it's going to be in that commander deck. Similarly, populating, big tokens like 5/5 worms, sure, whatever. But what you really want to populate are
actual cards,
cards like actual creatures, which is why, Jason, your pick of Helm of the Host is also pretty strong right now as well. So I think anything that can actually produce real creatures could be really strong in decks that populate, and we could get very efficient populate mechanics from that Commander 2019 deck.
You're making me miss my Temet deck right now. I had a Temet deck together for almost a year, and that was one of my fun decks that I played quite a bit. And man, just populating Stoneforge Mystics and Mold Drifters is just whew.
Oh, it's great. It's so great. And it's way better than proliferate or populating like a 3/3 centaur or a bear or something like that. And like, no, you wanna populate like big things that you.
All I wanted to do with that deck for as long as I had it was just make more Mold Drifters. That's all I care about in life.
And we don't know if the populate deck's going to have any blue in it. We don't know that.
No, that is correct.
If it doesn't, we know for sure that this is something in green, which is the deck's going to be green. It is 100% going to have green. So the fact that Battle Bond stuff, like you said, is a year old, that's not getting any cheaper. I like everything in Battle Bond that's EDH relevant. I like those lands. I like the commanders. Stuff like Pure and Toothy is more than you'd expect.
Do you want a third pick of the week? I like Rowan and Will Kenrith with Throne of Eladraine coming up. People are speculating that, or actually people are pretty sure that Will and Rowan are featured in that. And then
they were designed for that set.
Yeah, they were designed for that set and just made an appearance in Battle Bond first. And so you have two super unique commander, playable, partner, planeswalkers, and together, between the two cards, they're under $10.
I get a real Jamie and Cersei vibe from that art. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Let's be honest, it's a great thing. So suddenly Magic lore is exciting again. So yeah,
I mean it's not anymore because they just announced that they are restricting access to the written novels to paid ebooks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was a big Vorthos announcement middle of like last week or something like that. Is that they're restricting the paid ebook for the Eldraine story to it's like $3.99 or something. You have to buy it online.
I think if they keep getting people like Brandon Sanderson and like diversifying maybe their ability to go into the story, then maybe it would be worth it. But ultimately what they're doing is they're closing off the story to people that only halfway care. Like, do I care enough to buy it? No, I don't. Like, I'm going to have someone else like tell me about it or something like that. But there was
I care $0.
On occasion that I would have gone over to the website on someone's recommendation and read a story.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, for most of the Ixalan story and most of the Almancat story and whatever, I just had a nice little Wednesday habit of just pulling up the story over my lunch break whenever I just like reading the story for whatever the article was for that week. And then when they just sort of fell off the boat with Ravnica, I just didn't care as much. So I'm not going to pay $4 for an ebook. So big sad.
Yeah.
On that super positive, helpful, fun note, DJ, where can people find you? Plug your pluggable
People
stuff.
Can find me on YouTube. You can find me at youtube.com/Jumbo Commander. I do a lot of Commander deck techs, a lot of Commander related content, especially with the new Commander decks coming out very, very soon. There's going to be a lot of hype around that. You're going to want to know how to build your Commander decks and what cool cards to include. And then you can
you'll be
Twitter.
Previewing a card on that page, will you not?
I will. I will be previewing a card on I forget the day. But one of them, I will be previewing a card. Surprise day. That's why you have to subscribe and hit the bell icon, because then otherwise how will you know when to tune into my preview card? So,
exactly.
You can also follow me on Twitter at Jumbo Commander.
Yes. Jason, where's your stuff and things? And we're a real podcast, so we're doing this.
Yeah, you can make us say whatever you want. I am Jason E. Alt on the Twitters, and when you go to my little profile, you'll notice I have a pin post which has the links to all the various projects I do around the internet, where I'm a writer for Cool Stuff Inc. and MTG Price. I'm the content manager for EDH Rec, and I am on a podcast called Director's Cut with John Dunning on the They Said We Said YouTube network. It's called Director's Cut. It's about movies, nothing to do with magic at all. Just me and my Magic the Gathering pal Orzhov Dunn talking about movies. It's a good time. I'd like you guys to check that out if you're ready for a change of pace. If not, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And hey, we have changed our Patreon perks, like our goals to being
we've
based
changed
on
our
the number
goals,
of
not our
patrons.
perks. Yes.
Yeah, our goal is to be based on the number of patrons. So, like, if you subscribe at $1, you can, like, measurably move us closer to the goal of Corbin having to wear a stupid merfolk costume, like I had to dress as Guy Fieri, and DJ having to watch all the Mighty Ducks movies and more. We've got lots of great...
That reward, and Corbin has to play magic as a merfolk.
He really does not want to watch those movies. Plus, we're going to make him write book reports on each movie.
Can you just do a director's cut episode about the Mighty Ducks, and then I just listen to that instead?
No, no Wikipedia summaries. You got to watch the movies. You got to hear the phrase, we're going to take you down to the hood and teach you how to play some schoolyard puck. And you're going to be like, wow, that was racist even for 1994. And more. Great movies, those Mighty Ducks movies, about an alcoholic who, instead of going to rehab, coaches a hockey team as punishment. What's your favorite thing in the universe? I don't know. Ice hockey? Great. Go do hockey for a while. As punishment. For some reason. Yeah, good movie. So that's what we're up to. That was a long meandering way to say I'm Jason E. Alt on Twitter.
Yeah, and I mean, my Twitter pin post at Rose of Thorns, the second O is a 0. My Twitter pinned post is not of a bunch of content links or neatly organized situations of where you can find my stuff. It is a picture of a heavily destroyed commander deck that is not in sleeves and has an Alpha Soul ring in it, and it's just a picture of an example of the horrendous stuff that I have done to some of the heavily played and damaged cards that have come across my way. I have given them a permanent home, a loving, tender place in my heart as a Gonti Lord of Luxury Commander player. But where you can find me are at most North American Grands Prix. You can find me behind the booth at 95 MTG buying cards. You can walk up and ask to bridge shuffle the deck. I will let you do that.
Oh. Wash your hands. That deck smells.
No, it doesn't.
It smells. I had to wash my hands before it took a leak after I played with that deck. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But
he's exaggerating.
It's bad in the good. You have to go shuffle it. It's a thing. It's an experience, and it's a perk available to our patrons. Patrons also being people who would be able to come to the party we're throwing at Grand Prix Indianapolis.
Yeah, we will have a lot more concrete details about that next week. The only thing we can really say now is that if you will be going to the GP Indianapolis in the first place, you will not have to walk far to get to the party. That's sort of a vague booking comment that I'm gonna make.
You won't have to Uber.
Just throwing that out there as JJ fades in the outro music. This is probably the best Corbinless episode we've ever had.
But they're all so good, because they're Corbinless. DJ, is there anything you want to plug as we slide into the void?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's it. I buy and sell a lot.
Not DJ. The other guest DJ.
A lot of the stuff I'm going to be doing in the future is going to be just... Everything's going to be about the Commander C19 stuff, and I already said that, so that's going to be good. Otherwise it's, I don't know, probably also balancing going to Vegas, too. You guys are both going to be there, right?
I will not, because my wife would stab me in the face.
Your little baby. Okay.
A little baby.
I will be there, but I'll be working the entire week, so it's more of a business trip than anything else.
I really want to go, but cannot.
That's okay. Here, Vegas just keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah, it's not even special anymore if they do it every year. It's like the masterpiece of GPs. It's like, oh, this one's in Vegas, cool. And then by the third one, you're like, all right, enough. Do we have to do it at the fucking Westgate? The elevators don't work. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not staying at the Westgate.
It's not even the closest hotel to the convention center.